Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. November 8th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services. This is the Kuhner Report.
The Republicans get shellacked, and sanctuary cities now are on the march here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts. No question about it. Massachusetts now, in town after town, is openly embracing sanctuary cities. And on the national level, the Republicans now took a beating last night. So, first let me get to the national and then obviously the big repercussions from the local races. On the national level, the mainstream media is now talking about the rebirth of the Democratic Party. CNN last night, they were popping champagne bottles. I mean, MSNBC, the champagne corks were flying everywhere. Now, I thought they were supposed to be an objective, impartial media, at least in theory, but last night they couldn't help but celebrate, gloat, and partay. And so what happened was this. Big Bird Bill de Blasio, incredibly, won a landslide second term in New York City. How you could reelect somebody as openly inept and incompetent as him is beyond me. But Big Bird won big. In Boston, Macho Marty crushed Tito Jackson. No surprise there, but he won it running away. In New Jersey, Chris Christie, who is now extremely unpopular, his lieutenant governor was, just had her claw cleaned by the Democrat. So New Jersey went back to the Democrats. The big race was obviously in Virginia. All eyes were on Virginia. And in that one, Ed Gillespie, the Republican, got beat and beat bad. In fact, Trump lost Virginia by 5 points. Gillespie lost by nearly double digits. He took it right on the chin. It was a rout. And so the question now is this. Are the Democrats now resurging? And are the Republicans in serious trouble and in disarray heading into next year's midterm elections? To me, it's a mixed bag. On the one hand, I don't know why the media is, getting all their panties in a wad, to be honest with you, because New York is a liberal stronghold. Boston is a liberal stronghold. New Jersey is an overwhelmingly Democratic state. And Virginia has been trending blue now, really over the last decade. And the key is Northern Virginia, where you now have all of these federal bureaucrats, civil service workers, overwhelmingly liberal, overwhelmingly Democrat, who now have moved into Northern Virginia. I know because I used to live there when I worked at the Washington Times, in Arlington, in Alexandria, in Fairfax, in all of these areas, and it has completely changed the composition of Virginia. So the fact that Ed Gillespie lost really should not be a big surprise. The Democrats held serve. The Democrats won the states they were expected to win. I don't see this big trend that the mainstream media now is trying to hype up. Now, what they're trying to claim is that this was a rejection of Trump and of Trumpism. And in particular, this is their argument, of the divisiveness of Trump, the bigotry of Trump, the hatred of Trump. When in reality, the only people that have been divisive are them. The only people who've been spewing hatred and bigotry are them. But on a deeper level, Virginia is a warning to the Republicans on this important point. The base is not enthusiastic. And the reason why the base is not enthusiastic is, look at the do-nothing Congress. If you're a Republican voter, what have the Republicans done for you in Washington? Nothing. Nothing. They didn't knock out Obamacare. We're going to see what's going to happen with tax reform. They are not funding the wall. In other words, they have failed to deliver on issue after issue after issue. So if you're a Republican, you're asking yourself, why should I get excited? Why should I go out to vote? Moreover, it's not just that the Ryan McConnell Congress has demoralized Republicans all over the country. Ed Gillespie ran against Trump. He tried to distance himself from Trump. Outside of Jeff Deal, the other Republicans that are going to be contending to challenge Elizabeth Warren want to pursue the same policy here, the same strategy. They want to run as essentially never Trump Republicans. They don't want to embrace the president. They don't want to embrace his agenda. Well, look what happened to good old Eddie. Ed Gillespie went down in flames. So this should be a warning to Republican candidates everywhere. You think you can run from the president? The more you run from the president, the more you demoralize and depress your own base. Now, if the Republicans do not get their act together, I do believe yesterday's election is a bellwether. The momentum now is clearly with the Democrats. They loathe, despise, and hate the president. And they are using that hatred as the fuel to propel Democrats to victory. And if the Republicans continue to dither, if the Republicans continue to betray their voters and break their promises, as they have been doing now repeatedly under Mitch the Squish McConnell and Paul Rhino Ryan, I'm telling you, last night may be just the beginning. You may see Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You may see Senate Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer. In other words, I hope for the Republicans, this is a big wake-up call. But the real story is not what happened at the national level. The real story is what happened here in Massachusetts. And we have listeners on this show, as you know, all across the country. And I am telling you, no matter where you live, I don't care if you live here in Boston, in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, we have people in California, Wisconsin, Florida, Texas. We have listeners everywhere. You want to see the future? I want you to look at Lynn and Salem last night. Because this is the future not only of this state, it is the future of America. Last night, incredibly, two-term Mayor Judy Kennedy went down in flames against Mr. Magoo, State Senator Tom McGee. In fact, it wasn't even close. Judy Kennedy lost 64 to 35%. McGee captured 9,442 votes to Kennedy's 5,174. He almost doubled the vote total that she had. Now, why is this important? Here you have a man who openly campaigned, I'm talking about Mr. Magoo, on turning Lynn into a sanctuary city and openly supports turning all of Massachusetts into a sanctuary state. And these moonbats in Lynn vote for him? And not only do they vote for him, this is the same guy who proposes, he's the architect of the bill, to load up the entire state with tolls on I-95, on I-93, on Route 128, on Route 1, on Route 2, if you live in Lynn, on Route 7. So you're voting for a guy who is going to allow massive third world illegal immigration, to flood into your city. And on top of that, he openly wants you to pay more tolls. He wants to load up your city and your state with more tolls. And he wins 65%, 64, just round it off, 65% of the vote? Are you freaking kidding me? If you're a taxpayer in Lynn, I've got news for you. You're screwed. If you're a citizen, an American citizen in Lynn, you're screwed. Because I'll tell you this, the welfare deadbeats, they don't pay tolls. The illegals, they're going to keep coming. They've got their guy in power. And then the other stunning result, and there's no getting around this, is what took place in Salem. And so in Salem, many of the hardworking taxpayers did not want to see that beautiful historic city, people like Brittany, for example, become a third world hellhole. And so they put enough signatures on the ballot. They rounded up enough signatures to put on the ballot and to challenge the sanctuary city ordinance. To the shock of everybody, the ordinance that would now turn Salem into a sanctuary city passed. In fact, it won 6,756 votes to 5,030 votes. It wasn't even close. And furthermore, not only did Salem vote to become a sanctuary city, allegedly, but their corrupt, incompetent, inept crook of a mayor, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, Kim Driscoll, defeated Paul Prevey, in fact, crushed him by winning 65% of the vote. She beat him, and it wasn't even close. And in fact, when you look at her victory speech, I'm looking at pictures right now. You've got signs everywhere behind her. She delivered it at the Hawthorne Hotel. They had signs up, Salem is for everyone. In Spanish, a lot of Spanish signs. Salem es para todos. A lot of Spanish signs. And so Driscoll told the crowd, I'm elated. It's validation of the direction the city is headed in. I'm happy and humbled to have another 4 years, according to her. Many of them had signs, we are one Salem. Salem is for everyone. And on it went. What nobody in the media is asking is this. How the hell did she manage to win an election when clearly the taxpayers of Salem were in full revolt? If nobody else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. She stole it. I'm going to say it again. She stole the election in Salem. And you know how I know she stole the election in Salem? Just like Hillary stole the election in New Hampshire, and the Democrats did when they stole it from Kelly Ayotte. And I was proved vindicated on that one. She and her people sent out a huge ballot, a sample ballot into the illegal immigrant community days before the election on Tuesday, yesterday. And they were explaining to them, for all these people that can't understand English, exactly where they need to mark their X or their check to make sure that they vote for Kim Driscoll. And so they flooded those ballots into the illegal immigrant community to tell them, wink, wink, we need you to vote. You want sanctuary status? You want to make sure you don't get deported? You want to make sure your brothers and sisters and grandparents and aunts and uncles, they can all bienvenido, come on down? You got to put Kimmy over the top. I'm choosing now my words extremely, extremely carefully. Paul Prevey should demand that there be an investigation into massive voter fraud. Number two, let me now speak to everybody who lives in Lynn and those who live in Salem. I'm telling you, if you own property and you pay property taxes, get the hell out. Because Kim Driscoll is going to have to pay back all of those illegals. Kim Driscoll is going to have to pay back all of those hacks. Kim Driscoll is going to, and McGee, Mr. Magoo, they're going to have to pay back all of those welfare deadbeats that went out and voted for them. And there's only one way to pay them back, with your money. And so your property taxes are going to go through the roof. They've already doubled under Kim's commandos. It's going to get even worse. But more than that, now, by winning on this issue of sanctuary cities, they've now rung the dinner bell. Salem will now become a massive magnet for illegal immigrants and criminal illegals. They will now be pouring into Salem. I'm telling you, it's now a matter of time. Crime is going to go up. You're going to see more heroin needles everywhere. You're going to see more MS-13 gangbangers. You're going to see more welfare deadbeats. You're going to see more illegals. Your schools are going to be even more overflowing. Your hospitals are going to be even more packed. And your property values are going to drop like a stone. Every time you go sanctuary city, that city becomes a third world hellhole. And the likes of Kim Driscoll and the likes of Tom McGee know perfectly well that if you bring in enough illegals and you put enough people on welfare, even though your community goes right down into the toilet, they will keep themselves in power. But you, the middle working class taxpayers, you're left with the tab. You're left with the shaft. If they want to commit suicide in Salem, that's their business. If they want to commit suicide in Lynn, that's their business. But you need to look out after you and your family. Put your house up for sale and get the hell out before it's too late. Because you know what Salem and Lynn have now shown? America, watch very closely. When the takers outnumber the makers, they pick you off one at a time. And that's what's happening in Salem, in Lynn, and increasingly in pockets all across Massachusetts and America. If you're not careful, it's going to happen to you. You're going to be a stranger in your own land. 617-266-6868 is the number. What is your reaction to the election results yesterday? And do you believe the election was stolen by Kim Driscoll in Salem and sanctuary cities? Is this now the future of Massachusetts? And is it the future of America? Nick in Lowell, you're up next. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, boss, what's going on? Good afternoon. All right, first off, I'd like to say I want to recount in Salem, okay? And then we, the people, want this lady in jail. Be in jail.
Nick, I'm with you.
Okay, this is thievery. You know it. I know it 100%. This is thievery.
It's 1,000% that she's a crook. I mean, she bought it. She stole it. And look, and I got to say this about her, though. The Democratic machine, look, Paul Prevey really ran a serious campaign. She was in big trouble. And so what they did was they went into the illegal immigrant community in Spanish, gave out everything in Spanish, and said, here's how we want you to vote on Tuesday. In fact, even at her victory speech, don't even take my word for it, Nick, there were Spanish signs everywhere.
Oh, no doubt. I had a family member of mine actually receiving calls from Elizabeth Warren to vote in Spanish.
So, yeah, exactly, Nick. So what they did was they galvanized the illegal immigrant community. They said Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions are going to start deporting you. That's what they were telling them. So if you don't want to be deported from Salem, or if you don't want your family members to be deported from Salem, you got to vote for Kim Driscoll. Now, because it's an off-year election, right, turnout is never as high as, let's say, in a presidential election year. So they don't care. Bring them in. You live on 34 Forest Lane? Yeah, sure. We'll put you in. Don't worry about it. And that's how they put them over the top. And that's the Democratic strategy. Flood a city with illegal immigrants, put people on welfare, and then they vote for you early and often. You know what's really sad? Paul Prevey, the poor guy, never even had a chance. Let's take it to Jackie Murphy. How to Steal an Election by Kim Driscoll. Okay, my friends, so Sanctuary City prevails in Salem. I'm telling you, it was rigged. This election was stolen. I'm going to be vindicated. I know it. They were inflaming the illegal immigrant community, getting people who couldn't speak a word of English to have them come out and vote in big numbers. That was the only way Kim Driscoll can keep her seat, and she managed to pull it off. Now Salem has gone Sanctuary City, and I'm telling you right now, to all the moonbats who are celebrating in Salem and in Lynn, because Mr. Magoo, Tom McGee pulled that one off as well. Don't come crying to me when your federal funding gets revoked. You want to vote Sanctuary City? You want to defy the law? That's no problem. You want to bring in criminals? You want to bring in MS-13 gangbangers? You want to bring in even more illegals? Bring in more crime, more drug use, overload your schools, overload your hospitals? You want to come in and see the taxpayers leave that city so your tax base shrinks, property values go down? No problem. You wanted it, you got it. But when the federal funds dry up, don't come crying to me. Remember, you asked for it. Now, I want to make one quick point, then I want to dive into the phone line. 617-266-6868. Notice, Democrats won in New Jersey. Democrats won in New York City. Democrats won in Boston. They also won all over the place, across Massachusetts. And the big one, they won in Virginia. Do you see conservatives protesting on the streets? Do you see conservatives wearing black masks and going around punching people or rioting or burning things down? Do you see us going around committing acts of violence like the left did in the wake of Trump's election victory 1 year ago? No. That's the difference between us and them. 617-266-6868. We understand and we respect democracy. Lucille in Somerville. Go ahead, Lucille.
Lucille Bordenaro, the Sicilian. Billy Toro's got Somerville News Weekly, and he puts it out, and then the mayor's henchmen were cleaning the machines, and the old people couldn't read the truth about him. He stole this election. You don't know what the hell is going on here. They're all no good. And I write a piece in the paper every week. He should be called Maya Curtifoni, because like Oscar Mayer, he's full of baloney. He's no good. And there was a woman, mayor in the early 2000s, and he had her financial advisor hide $2 million, making her believe she stole it. That's how he robbed the election from Dorothy Kelly Gay. He's a parasite. Jeffy's no good, and I was going to hijack a truckload of lemons to give to the suckers that voted for him. Are you there, Jeff?
I'm listening to every word, Lucille.
Hijack the damn lemons, for Christ's sake.
Thank you for that call. No, I know. Look, that's their playbook. And what I'm trying to warn the rest of the people of Massachusetts, all of you that live in New Hampshire, but all of you that live across the country, this is what the Democrats do. This is their playbook. Allow the illegals to pour into the country. It's basically an invasion. They then come into your communities, and then you hand out welfare checks. Some work under the table, some don't. And before you know it, they've got you, they're voting for you, and the Republicans can't win an election. So let me tell you what Kim Driscoll did. All the hacks that she put on the school boards and the school administration, she bloated that baby up, had them vote. All the hacks she put in City Hall, okay, in the city administration, had them vote. And then the big one was with the illegals. So give out Spanish ballots, only Spanish speaking, and tell them this is where Kim Driscoll's name is going to be on the ballot. Make sure this is where you cross the X. And on question 1, sanctuary city, the big one, that's where you write yes. That's what we want you to do. And that's how they stole this election. And one other thing. She raised over $150,000. It was for a local race in Salem, that's a massive war chest. How come the media is not looking into who gave her the money? Because I'll tell you who gave her the money. The big construction contractors who are now going to line their pockets in development deal after development deal. And I want to know how much money was kicked back to Kim Driscoll and her cronies. I want to know. Because I'll tell you this, on her victory speech, I'm not kidding, okay, this is how arrogant they're becoming. She's bragging about how she, her husband Nick, and their 3 children, according to her, she calls them Nick, I'm just going by what's in the paper, that the 3 kids, that now they really deserve a vacation because, it's hard to steal an election. So when you steal one, it's a lot of work. It's like, robbing a bank. You need some downtime. We're definitely going to Disney World, her and the whole family. Really? On a mayor's salary. On a little dinky mayor's salary. Because I'll tell you this, I earn pretty good money here. Okay, I'm being honest with you. I earn pretty good money. I don't have 3 kids, I got 2 kids. I can't afford Disney World. Kids want to go to Disney. Sorry, there's no money. You want a vacation? Maybe we go visit your aunt up in Montreal. That's about it. So I'm telling you right now, this is the playbook. You have the makers outnumber the takers. And at that point, nobody can stop you. And that's why I'm telling the people of Salem and Lynn, you're now outnumbered. You're outnumbered. And they don't play by the rules. Get out while you still can, because your property values are going to drop like a stone. She's got to pay back the illegals. Now it's a sanctuary city. There's going to be more illegals pouring in, more drugs, more crime. Your schools, more illegal kids. Classrooms now packed. Your local hospitals, emergency rooms, packed. Your quality of life goes right down the toilet. In 4 or 5 years after this, your house won't be worth a shekel. Get out while the getting's good. Robert and Lynn.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you, Robert?
Good, sir. I have a few points.
Yes.
I was born and brought up in that section of the city when it was all French. They all came down from Canada, Quebec, and all there. That's what they call now the Point. Okay? And I cut through there many times. I lived in Salem for 50 years. I got out of there in 96. So when I'm around, I take a shortcut and I go through the old neighborhood, and I know exactly what you're saying. So let's let that part go. Okay? Now, what I did was, based on economics, believe it or not, I moved to Lynn, and right across the Salem line in a very, very nice section. Okay? Now, Mr. Magoo, everyone that's onto him knows exactly where his money came from. The unions in Boston and that whole crony crowd. Now, you ask yourself, you've been there for how long? 2 decades, you get your pension. You know what? I work 5 months out of the year. I don't want to drive who wants to drive to Boston after my nap during the day? So now he's going to double dip. He'll be sticking around Lynn for a little while. So now Mr. Magoo will have 2 pensions. Okay? So don't ask me where he's saying he's going to do this and do that, and you hit it right on. The illegals that are being brought in to this city, and the UN sends a lot of these other people from Africa to Lynn. They say you go there, and the city is broke. I don't know how he's going to fix this. I don't know what he's going to do, but you're absolutely right. And my last point is, I came out of Market Basket 45 minutes ago in Salem, waiting where they have the newspapers, and I actually started swearing a little bit in line when I saw the picture of that DeBazio. Jeff, you're right on. We're going down the frickin' tube.
We are. Now, look, Robert, we got to stare reality in the face. For us to win, we have to know what we're up against. You have to know the truth. And Brittany said this very point to me this morning. So the geniuses at Lynn who voted for Mr. Magoo, now you're on the hook for 2 salaries. You're going to pay for him as state senator. You're going to pay for his salary as mayor. You're going to pay for one pension that he's going to get from being a state senator and the second pension that he's going to get for mayor of Lynn. So think about it. I mean, really, genius. And then he's going to flood Lynn. It's already got a lot of illegals, but now you're going Sanctuary City, baby, all the way in Lynn. All the way. They're coming in. And he's going to load up your city with tolls. The whole state. He wants the whole freaking state. But at a minimum, now you're paying tolls. And your property taxes, who can pay for all these illegals? You. You see, that's the thing. They got to reward their base. So I'm looking at these idiots celebrating in Lynn, and I'm like, what are you celebrating? It's your funeral. You're celebrating your own suicide. 617-266-6868. Gina in Lynn. Go ahead, Gina.
Yes, I'm listening to your show every day, even when I can't call. Listen, I'm very suspicious about that election in Lynn yesterday. Myself, I vote for Kennedy because I want her to get in again. But when I went to vote yesterday morning about 7:20, 7:30, the machine wasn't working. So they just make you put the paper in the bottom, and they say they will count them after. I don't trust that. The machine's supposed to be working light up. I'm supposed to put the paper in and roll in that box. That machine wasn't working. So for them to go count those papers, I don't trust those people at all. I don't trust them to go count it by hand like that.
Gina, as somebody who lives in Lynn, as somebody who's seen what's happened to Lynn over the last 10, 15 years, and who voted, do you think that election was stolen yesterday?
I feel it. Believe me, the minute the woman said to me, put it there, I said, the machine's not working. Believe me, my heart just started beeping. I said, Because I come from a country where they stole election all the time. Those are the kind of little things they do to steal an election. That machine's supposed to be working for me to put that paper in. I don't want people to tell me, oh, you can put it there, we count them after. I don't trust that at all. Something really went wrong there.
Gina, I want to thank you for your courage to call. 617-266-6868. More with your reaction next. I see a very, very bright future now for the mayor of Salem, Kim Driscoll. She could write a bestseller, How to Steal an Election by Kim the Crook Driscoll. Kim the Crook Driscoll. It's going to be a national bestseller. Now, apparently, Kim the Crook, Brittany just told me this, she and the city council voted themselves a massive pay increase. How much does Kim the Crook make, by the way, now as the mayor of Salem?
$150,000.
$150,000
a year. Yes.
A year?
She voted. I think the city council voted a $30,000 raise for her.
A $30,000 pay raise.
Yep.
Well, look, Brittany, I got to be honest with you. She's a good criminal. Kim the Crook, tell you this, she knows how to round up those illegals and get them to vote. You know, I mean, if you're thinking of, pulling off a heist, I'd give her a call. Justin in Salem. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I just wanted to say I had the same problem as your previous caller yesterday in Salem. The machine didn't work. They just took my ballot and told me it didn't work. And also, when I went up to the voting booth, all the instructions were in Spanish. Nothing was in English. So I just wanted to...
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, so all the instructions were in Spanish, Justin?
In my voting booth was, yeah.
Well, of course, sure. I mean, Justin.
Yeah.
How else do you steal an election but how to tell the illegals how to vote?
Exactly.
Justin, thank you for that call.
I also heard that someone in Ward 4 that was voting in Ward 4 or voting in Ward 5 got a Ward 4 ballot.
Sure.
So
Sure.
everything was just a mess yesterday.
Oh, of course, sure. Notice, by the way, just look at the coincidence, huh? I'm getting texts in Malden, in Somerville, in Lynn, in Salem, that the machines, they just, they no work. They no work. No worko. Is okay. Pable español? No comprende? Pable español. Is okay. Just, here, I show you where to put, here. Kim Driscoll, here. Here, Cricket Kim, here. Yes, on the numero uno, yes, sanctuary, yes. That's how they do it. Jerry on the Cape, go ahead, Jerry. Comrade, I have 1 minute, go.
Jeff, all to your point, and I want you to take it home. The elite's creation using the media propaganda, all the social engineering with a population that's uneducated, unskilled, low IQ, and dependent, in inciting societal acts of violence. I want you to put the historical perspective in the eerie parallels to 100 years ago in the Bolshevik Revolution. Because, Jeff, it's just too coincidental.
It's how the left rolls. So the question now is, where is Attorney General Jeff Sessions? Will he move on Salem, on Lynn, and the other sanctuary cities in Massachusetts? The answer to that and that story next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.